What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Jess Total Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic: the Legacy of Harlem Heat. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. Or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And check out exclusive content on Daily Motion and Our Wrestling Podcast. And on social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. Jess, I know we are recording this in hindsight, but I hope to heck we're going to hear some Harlem Heat intro music throughout this pod, because I think it is the best soundtrack in wrestling history. Love it.
It's long overdue. Harlem Heat, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And we'll talk about it. We're going to go through it. You know, they actually got realized at a really low point in American wrestling history because WCW was in a transition point, and so they weren't like Demolition and I don't mean this to be disparaging. Hear me out. They weren't like Demolition or the Hard Foundation of the 80s or like any of the tag teams before that, like the Dream Team, Bulldogs. That was the hot period of wrestling. The Harlem Heat came around when WCW was trying to figure things out under Eric Bischoff. And they hired Hogan, they hired Savage. So it was like 94, 95 that Harlem Heat got really hot. And we're going to talk about how they got brought in and what their original intention was for and all that. So it was a simple notation in the locker room where Bischoff's like, man, who do I got to hire? He went to Hulk. Who do I have to hire? And Hulk's like, what do you mean? He's like, to be like the head of my tag team division. He's like, what are you talking about? And we can mock Hulk all we want to, but Bischoff backed the story up. And Hogan was like, dude, they're right over there. And he pointed to Harlem Heat, two massive, amazing athletes, amazing looking guys, happen to be brothers. And Bischoff's like, them, Harlem Heat? He's like, dude, they've been in front of you the whole time. Look at them. Look at them. Like, their music's awesome. Their fucking colors are bright. Like they wore red with flames and, all that stuff. And like, he's like, dude, they're your guys. And so Bischoff's like, okay. And kind of started there. So in the lower, Dave, I can't hear you. You're on mute for some reason.
Small sidetrack to that. Hogan did that twice. He did that with Harlem
Honky. Yeah.
And he did it with Honky Tonk Man. He did it with Honky Tonk Man.
Hogan deserves to be shit on for a lot of different things. However, there's a lot of people, including Honky and Harlem Heat, that back that up. That Hulk he
vouched for them.
In both of their Hall of Fame speeches, Honky and Harlem Heat acknowledge that Hulk Hogan fingered us out, and said those people right there. So I know we'll talk about that later. It might be a long episode, so Dave. So just jump in. Sorry, Craig, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just saying. We can just jump into this shit.
Well, I have to throw it out there before we start that Craig did have a three-legged cat called Booker, and they would chant the music as Booker would walk across the apartment. Yeah.
Incorrect.
Yep. And he would do a spinneroonie.
We can stop the pod right here. I'm just kidding. All right.
I miss.
Yeah, Booker was good, man. Booker T and Stevie Ray started to team together as the Huffman Brothers, and Ivan Putski's wrestler.
That's their real last name, Huffman, by the way.
Huffman.
Yeah, Booker's first name was actually Booker. It was Booker Huffman. The truth. I'm being serious. Yeah.
I'm with you. It's still funny. It can be true and funny. At Putski's Western Wrestling Alliance. That's hard to say for some reason right now. After a brief feud with each other, soon after the WWE ceased operating, and the brothers started touring the Texas Independent.
What was the initials again?
WWA.
Oh, I thought you said WWE. I was like, there's an original WWE, and I didn't pick up on that.
Western Wrestling Alliance. Yeah, it's weird, right? Yeah, they had to find a way around all that, I guess. The Huffman brothers caught the eye of Skandar Akbar, who was involved with the Global Wrestling Federation out of Dallas in 1982.
Skandar Akbar.
That's right. The brothers were repackaged as the Ebony Experience. Oh my. It's just different in these days. It quickly rose through the ranks as the GWF Tag Team Division under the guidance of Gary Hart. They would win those Tag Team Championships 3 times in the GWF. And in 93, Booker T and Stevie Ray left. They signed with the big guns, WCW.
So when I got my big satellite dish that all you know. So I lived in
the one you can turn. You can turn it. Remember
Yeah.
those days?
You know, a lot of people think of Southern California as LA and San Diego, and that's a part of it. But we all lived in the rural part of Southern California, by the way, Lake Elsinore.
The deserts.
And it was like the desert, Riverside County. And so when I lived in a double wide mobile home, and I didn't get cable ran down my street. So my mom and dad got a satellite dish, and it was a big fucking, not like the Dish Network, you know, or DirecTV satellite dishes, the little tiny ones that you put on your homes. It was a big fucking dish that like made noise when it moved. It looked like an actual satellite, like in my property. And so we got that, and I started getting Global Wrestling Federation, or GWF, from Texas. And I loved GWF. And the Ebony Express, or Harlem Heat, I remember them. I remember the Handsome Stranger, which was Buff Bagwell, when he went to, or Marcus Bagwell, when he would go to WCW. And there was a lot of other people, like Skandar Akbar and Hollywood John Tatum and all that. And so I got introduced to that. I know Skandar Akbar was a part of like AWA and a bunch of other places, but I got introduced to them in GWF in this time. So I remember the Ebony experience, and it's so crazy, like whenever they got signed and you would start seeing people that you watched on indie scenes go to WWE or WWF, excuse me, or WCW, it was pretty cool. So I do remember Harlem Heat from the very beginning in like 93, 94 from GWF, or 92, 93 from GWF. And then, as Dave said, they signed with World Championship Wrestling in 93. So
yeah, that was June.
I love GWF, dude. Yeah. Handsome Stranger, Dark Patriot.
That happened in June 22nd of said year, and they would actually, that's where they debuted as the Harlem Heat, and Booker renamed with Booker renamed Cole and Lash renamed Kane.
So Stevie was Kane and Booker T was Cole. They were called Cole and Kane. Harlem Heat.
Oh my gosh, and they were billed, they were actually from Harlem. Originally, they were supposed to be a pair of prisoners, one in a card game by manager Colonel Rob Parker, but that was changed due to racial sensitivity based on their look coming out of the ring.
You think?
And wrist and foot shackles. Like, okay, so you can say they're from Harlem, you can just assume that, and you can also call them, you know, all sorts of other things, but you can't.
So basically, what it was is that
it's just a weird line that you're drawing here. Like that, we can't go that far. Like,
he won slaves in a card game, and they came down in shackles. So
what are we doing?
It's not the best. It's the worst, but it's
terrible. But
like, even in '93, they were like, "That's fine. Let's do that."
But even then, even on top of that, like you talk about. You're gonna call them Harlem Heat anyway. Like you're just gonna assume that they're from Harlem makes sense. Like,
and at least Colonel Rob Parker didn't look like a Southern plantation.
He did.
He did.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right.
It's so awful. Like, what are we doing? Like, but yet
I know.
And this is 93 for fuck's sake.
Yeah, where are we?
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, like, where are we? Yeah. What are we doing? What are we doing here? It's crazy. Harlem Heat became villains by teaming with Sid Vicious to defeat Ron Simmons, Too Cold Scorpio, and Marcus Alexander Bagwell in a 6-man tag. Harlem Heat made their pay-per-view debut at Fall Brawl in 93, September 19th, by teaming with Vader and Sid Vicious against Sting, David Boy Smith, Dustin Rhodes, and the Shockmaster.
They were overshadowed by the Shockmaster.
That's right. In a War Games match. And then July of 94, Cole and Kane changed their names back to Booker T and Stevie Ray, which, oh my gosh, I never knew about the Cole and Kane. Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But at Clash of Champions, that is 29. I can read that right.
Yeah, Dave, do that. You do that good.
Since Sherry joined Harlem Heat as their manager by helping them in defeating the Nasty Boys. This is my favorite time with the Harlem Heat was when Sherry joined them. I think this kind of peaked them out here. On December 8th, Harlem Heat defeated Stars and Stripes, the Patriot, and Marcus Bagwell to win their first WCW World Tag Team Championship, which aired on the January 14th, 95 episode of
This was right around the time where Bischoff, we talked about it earlier, where Bischoff's like, I need a tag team. Hogan's like, they're right there.
Dude, they're right there.
They started winning tag titles.
It's almost like 600 pounds of just like amazingness. Like these guys are huge. Like I said, they're athletic. They could do moves that no one else can do. They synced really well in the ring together. I don't understand why he had to ask the question. I just don't get it. Because when we saw them on TV, we're like, whoa, These guys are it. Like, we saw them before the title change, like, and just saw them before they even got to WCW, knew they were it. These guys were it. Like, how do you miss it? It's just so weird to me.
Up to 9. Here's a cover by Booker T. That's not the legal man. 1, 2, 3.
That's good enough. We got new champions.
Bingo with the legal man.
That's right. The ref didn't see it.
That was not, I repeat, the legal man.
Oh, you did it, sweetheart. Great job, Toots.
We need to get the official word from Gary Capetta.
Oh, yes.
They continue their feud with the Nasty Boys, leading to a title defense against them at Super Bowl V. They retain that title via disqualification win, which is a 0-star match for me. You all know that. And uncensored, Harlem Heat lost to the Nasty Boys in a non-title Falls Count Anywhere match. And Harlem Heat finally did lose those titles to Nasty Boys at Slamboree in '95. We can't find anybody better than the Nasty Boys to beat them for the title. I'll just leave that there.
First of all, calm down.
I know you love the Nasty Boys.
I do. I don't know if love is the great term. Like, I love the Steiners. I love LOD. I love Demolition. I love the Hart Foundation. Nasty Boys were fine. Like, and they were just not more than what you saw. They were just sloppy brawlers. Like, and that was what it was.
They never tried to beat anything else. They never tried to pretend.
I will say that they were a part of this area where they were not only trying to get Harlem Heat over, but like they were kind of a part of the WCW tag team division from like '93 to like '96. They were like Nasty was a big part of it. And I remember like as WCW was trying to find their footing after Bischoff took over and they hired Hulk and Savage and you're hiring just a bunch of old people. You know, Nasty Boys were kind of from the I don't want to say older area because like they started in '90. I guess that was old at the time. But like it was the fact that them and Harlem Heat mixed together and they had some pretty entertaining tag matches, legitly. Like they really did. Like not all were gems, but like I felt like I remember for some odd reason in the mid '90s, Nasties against Harlem Heat. I remember that for some reason.
Oh, there you go.
So I'll defend that, and you shut your mouth. Go ahead.
100%, but it's okay because on June 24th the same year on Worldwide, the Heat defeated the Nasty Boys to win their second World Tag Team Championship. So that's
fun. All you had to do was wait like 2 more sentences, and then you would be vindicated. You didn't have the patience.
The Vindicators. Let's see, where are we? They would lose those titles to Slater and Buck. This is where and then you go back to Vindication. Yeah, don't start with me, Jess. You know this is a problem.
Now how bad are the Nasty Boys now?
That's a fair point. On the July 22nd episode of Saturday Night, thanks to interference from Mr. Parker and at Clash of Champions, Harlem Heat and Sherry would defeat Slater and Buck, 6-person tag team match. As a result, the Heat earned a tag team title shot against Slater and Buck at Fall Brawl. They would defeat them to win their 3rd World Tag Team Championship. So
look at them.
It's fair enough. Like I think there's better tag teams out there.
In 2 months, they've won 3. Not 2 months. It's been longer than that. But
it's pretty close. It's less than a year, though. They're
hot potatoing the titles, but I mean they're getting Harlem Heat in the mix.
But that's important. I think to your point when Hogan said back them. He was trying to build them with multiple.
I did not say job them to.
Well, it's like you gotta lose them to win them back, right? So you want to say that you're a 3-time World Tag Champion.
Well, and it was back here to Dave's point. Actually, it was. It's kind of like our Mount Rushmore episode that we talked about, or that we did, recorded before this. You'll see later. It's like there was a time in wrestling history where they traded titles back and forth to create interest, and we look back on history going. That person was a 20-time world champion or a 10-time or whatever. This is just in the time in 94, 95, 96, both companies were like, we could create interest on house shows and regular Nitros or Clash of the Champions or Saturday Night's Main Event as like just rapid fire, championship changes. Not the best. But it's why a lot of teams are like 9. I didn't know they were 9-time champions. Yeah, they were because
it's always fascinating to me that no one knocks Flair for being a 16, and some of us say 19-time world champion. You lost the title a lot, bro. You lost it a lot. You won it back, but you lost it a lot.
It's always kind of been out. That philosophy's always been out there,
right? So it's like, but nobody wants to bring it up when we talk about Flair for some reason. But
Ball 18, get up 19, dude.
100%. 100%.
Wait a minute, they just knocked Slater out of his boots.
Slater got kissed with a boot as Sherry's getting kissed by Colonel Parker. 1, 2, we got Newtown.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the match,
And they don't care.
new World Tag Team Champions, Harlem Heat.
Just one night later, he would lose those titles to the American males. Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Scotty Riggs.
Best song ever.
Goes Booker T. The legal man are still in the ring, as you can see. Sherry, into the eyes of Bagwell.
Well, she nailed it. Oh, my goodness.
And Harlem sidekick in the head. 1, 2, 3, it's over.
Wow.
We're new tag team champions.
They have won the belts once again. We know you. Great game plan. Don't do it. Wow, what an exciting match.
And then they would win them back. Just like what is it? Like a few months later, on October 28th, they defeated the American males to win their 4th title, and then they would lose to Lex Luger and Sting on the January 22nd, 96 episode. So we got through 95. That was on Nitro. Harlem Heat unsuccessfully challenged Luger and Sting for the titles at Super Bowl 6, and on Censored, Booker T teamed with Sting to defeat the Road Warriors Hawk and Animal in a street fight to earn Harlem Heat a title shot against Luger and Sting on the April 22nd episode of Nitro, which the Heat did lose. Was Stevie Ray hurt, or were they just seeing that Booker T was more over? What was that about?
No, it's not even that. I think they were just trying different shit. I think Stevie Ray was hurt, but I think they were just trying different shit.
Got it. On the June 24th episode of Nitro, Harlem Heat defeated Luger and Sting and Steiner Brothers, Rick and Scott, in a triangle match to win their 5th World Tag Team Championship. Then they would lose those to the Steiner Brothers at a live event on July 24th, just a month later. But 3 days later, they would defeat them and win their 6th World Tag Team Championships. We are just moving quick here. And they would defend those titles against the Steiners at Hog Wild. But on September 23rd of Nitro, they had lost those titles to Public Enemy, Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge. Yeah, they're on my list. On October 25th episode of Saturday Night, they would defeat them back. This is now a 7th World Tag Team Championship run. We go into a loss at Halloween Havoc in 96 to the Outsiders. And then they would become full-fledged faces when they fire Colonel Parker and they beat him up to rescue Sister Sherry. They briefly feuded against the Parker's newest team, the Amazing French Canadians. They were amazing, I guess. They defeated.
They were super amazing.
Yeah, super. Okay, they defeated them in a match at World War III. And on the July 7th episode of Nitro, they fired Sherry after her interference backfired, costing them a match against Public Enemy. Vincent's repeated interferences in matches resulted in Harlem Heat beginning a feud with the NWO's Vicious and Delicious, Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton.
I forgot about Vicious
I love
and
that
Delicious.
tag name. God damn it.
It's really good. Leading to a match between them at Road Wild. But during the match, Harlem Heat added Jacqueline as their new manager, who helped them in defeating Vicious and Delicious. After that, Harlem Heat resumed their feud with the Steiner Brothers, losing to them at Fall Brawl by the end of 97.
So this was in 97. I remember, God, I liked their feud with Steiner Brothers. And we reviewed Fall Brawl 97, and it was one of our favorite matches. This shit was good.
Yeah, so this is where Booker starts to kind of come off. He transitions to a single competition. He wins the World TV Championship while continuing to to team with Stevie Ray. But in 98, Harlem Heat quietly disbanded. In the summer of 99, Booker began feuding with the Jersey Triad.
So a year later, by the way, this is 1999. So we jump. I skipped out Booker T's. This is a legacy about Harlem Heat. So I skipped out Booker T's first television championship run. So now we're all the way in 1999. A year later, they get back together. So for a full year, Harlem Heat was not a thing. And Booker T, that's when he went on his legendary championship television championship run. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, was it the whole time, or did he switch that title in and out of the TV title? Just curious.
Oh no, he didn't hold it the whole time, but I mean, like he feuded with Rick Martel, Saturn, a couple other people or whatever. Defended the title. We watched on the Daily Motion against Bret Hart.
Yeah, that was cool.
98?
Yeah, that was a good match. Yeah, a little hidden gem there.
So for a full year, because we're not talking about Booker T. We'll do a Legacy of Booker T eventually, but so we're just talking about
that's a way.
Harlem
That's
Heat's
a,
tag
that's a
team
long
run,
run.
yeah.
For sure. But in that July 28th episode, Thunder Jersey tried Triple Team Booker during his match against the Tribe member Bam Bam Bigelow, and Stevie made the save. After the match, Booker convinced Stevie to tear up the NWO shirt and reform the Harlem Heat. So the whole time, Stevie was just chilling with the NWO, probably doing nothing.
Yeah, Stevie Ray was with the NWO Black and White, while Booker T was being the television champion and feuding with like Saturn, Martel,
right,
like and all that, and then they got back together.
Still getting paid. That's good. Good for Stevie.
Yep.
On the August 7th episode second episode of Nitro, Harlem Heat competed in its first match as a tag team. In over a year, they defeated Bigelow and Canyon with assistance from Chris Benoit. This led to Harlem Heat challenging Bigelow and Canyon for the World Tag Team Championship at Road Wild. Harlem Heat won that match to begin their record-setting 8th tag team title reign there.
Staggered. Oh, pistol drop kick. On the money. Count 1, 2. We got new champions.
For the 8th time in their careers, the Harlem Heat wear the tag team gold. Stevie Ray, Booker T, they put it together at Road Wild 99 to win the tag belts.
Their last tag team championship win came in October of 1996. And now, here on the 14th of August in 1999, they solidify themselves as truly the team of the 90s.
On the October 18th episode of Nitro, they lost those titles to the Filthy Animals. That was Conan and Rey Mysterio Jr. However, 6 days later, Mysterio was stripped of the title due to injury, and the vacant title was put up in a three-way dance, putting Harlem Heat against Filthy Animals, which was Conan and Kidman, and the First Family, which was Hugh Morris and Brian Knobbs. They would defeat them, and that would be their record-setting 10th and final World Tag Team Championship. 10-time Tag Team Champions in WCW. Wow.
That's awesome.
You don't...
And that's a lot of years. They took them some time off in the middle of it, but that's talking about 94 to 2. That's 6 full years. And I remember getting super tired of them. I remember they're always being around, always respected. I never wanted them off.
It was always fun when they were on.
Harlem.
Yeah, 100%. You hear that music?
Yeah,
down?
I love them.
You hear the flames coming up? Yeah, all day.
And the amount of tag teams and talent that you just kind of listed in the last 20 minutes of like, you want to talk about big, small, cruiser.
All over.
A-level
Conan and
guys,
Mysterio were in the mix.
Kings,
What?
Luger.
Yeah, Luger was in there, yeah.
That's
100%.
they could put on TV matches with
Luger,
anybody.
Sting, Steiners, Nasty
Anybody.
Boys. Yeah.
There's a lot going
Bunkhouse
on.
Buck.
Yeah.
Dick Slater.
Delicious.
Dick Slater and Bunkhouse Buck.
Yeah.
Vicious and delicious.
Vicious and delicious. Come on.
Vicious and or delicious.
And or. Depends on the day. Stevie Ray took time off to another injury, and there's a woman bodybuilder in Midnight who would come and actually assist Booker T during matches, rescue him every now and again. After Stevie Ray returned, dissension within the team began over Midnight on the December 13th episode of Nitro, where Harlem Heat competed against the Revolution. That was Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn and Asa. How do I say it? Asaya?
I think it's Asia.
Asia. My goodness. That's terrible. In a handicap match, which they lost when Booker tended to an injured Midnight. He was ignoring Stevie Ray, leaving him to get pinned by Malenko. Stevie would eventually turn on Booker and Midnight by attacking both of them. At Sold Out, the match took place between Booker and Stevie, which ended in a disqualification when Big T, who was Oddman Johnson, because this is after he made his, after he left WWF, I take it.
Yes.
Made his WCW debut and attacked Booker. Stevie would form the new Harlem Heat with Big T and begin feuding with Booker and Midnight. Ray and Big T referred to their new team as Harlem Heat 2000. At Super Bowl 2000, Super Brawl.
So we just watched. My son is really into Dogman. Have you heard of that comic, Dogman?
I think so. Yeah. It's gonna be a movie,
So
right?
they just made. Yeah, they just did. That's the whole thing. Is like the Petey. I think Pete is like the enemy cat, the evil cat. And then whatever, every invention he makes ends with 2000. So like whenever he would like go through the whole thing, he'd be like the vacuum 2000. Like, and like it would fail, and then like he'd be like, okay, I'm coming out with the cat killer 2000. Like, and they're like, no, like it's not. It doesn't matter. Why do you keep naming it 2000? So it makes me laugh like every time.
That's lovely.
Does because at the time everybody was marketing and all that stuff in our lives. Like at the time, it was something 2000. Like it was Windows 2000. Right. It was WrestleMania 2000. It was like it's so crazy. Like everybody called everything 2000 at the turn of the century.
It meant futuristic. It meant brand new. It meant revolutionary.
Were there hoverboards? No, there was no hoverboards.
Should have been.
Should have been. The original Harlem Heat of Booker and Stevie had one final reunion in WCW on the July 19th, 2000 episode of Thunder, where they defeated Jeff Jarrett and Rick Steiner in a tag team match. Has Jeff Jarrett been wrestling for 40 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. 40 plus. Holy crap.
Yeah. He started in the early 80s, I think.
That's incredible. Could be 50 years of wrestling almost coming up.
Told you.
Double J. This marked their final time teaming in WCW before the promotion closed out. On the February 21st, 2015, Booker T and Stevie Ray reunited as Harlem Heat for one last match at Booker T's promotion, Reality of Wrestling's The Final Heat event, where they defeated the New Heavenly Bodies for the ROW Tag Team Championships. The titles were vacated a month later without them ever defending them. Wow. It's quite an accolade there. So run into the championships and awards. All right. So don't forget about that Cauliflower Alley Club. They were tag team awards there in 2018. And the Global Wrestling Federation, they were 3-time tag team champions, GWF. Pro Wrestling Illustrated gave them Tag Team of the Year for 2 years running in a row, 95 and 96. They were ranked number 62 in the 100 best tag teams in the PWI years of 2003. In Reality of Wrestling, they got that Ring of Honor.
That seems low.
62 is low for out of the top 100.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, high.
It was like they could be lower. Yeah, I feel what you're saying. Yeah, I think so. I mean, 10-time champions. I mean, you'd think they would rank a little higher. There's probably a lot of people with ribbons on their arms and running around, and maybe had 3 people wrestling for them instead of 2.
No, it's a lot of bullshit territory people. It's
right.
like, the Fantastics. It's like, okay.
Yeah, man.
All right.
The Bees, bro. Okay. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. The Young Stallions.
Right. So, Reality Wrestling, they got the tag team champions there one time before I vacated. And like I said, WCW 10-time World Tag Team Champions and WCW World Television Championship. That was Booker T had 6. Stevie Ray actually did get a World Television Championship, so that's something. And they were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2019. Is Booker inducted on his own?
No.
Okay, that's something to think about. I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
it should.
If Triple H can get in there, come on, by himself. Jeez, he should have only been there as the Click.
They were one of the, they were, especially as of our youth. Mm-hmm. I can't say my childhood because like WCW, like Booker, they came around 94, 95. We were graduating high school around that time or whatever. But like our young wrestling, like Booker, like Harlem Heat was like a big tag team, and I don't mean to disparage them when I say like it was during a low point, but then when they came back, like they rode through the 94, 95 era, and then 96, 97, that was like the, NWO and like the everything else, and they feuded with the Steiners, the Outsiders. Like there was a lot of like great feuds that they had in that time. And they rode through the shit time, and then they came all the way out through in 99 and still won like a few more tag titles after that. So Harlem Heat, like, man, I don't mean this, like, I know the color of their skin, but at the same time, they were just a really good tag team. And, to me, I understand that for African Americans, like, they were hugely, like, influential. But at the same time, like, they were just fucking cool. And their music was cool. And, their size was awesome. And just Booker T, we all saw what he became. And so I just think they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And I think a lot of their legacy is linked into the color of their skin. And I know it tries to be a positive thing. But I just want to say that they're one of the greatest tag teams that ever wrestled.
Period.
And that's it. and it doesn't matter like what the color of their skin is. However, they were a part of a low time in WCW, and the color of the skin does get talked about. And as long as that stays to me in a positive manner, I'm all for it.
They were a very influential
same thing
tag team to bring in fans that definitely wanted to see more. The fact that they were right there and people didn't see them, people didn't see their ability and their impact. Thank goodness somebody did, and now they're 10-time world champions. I mean, they were one conversation missed away from not doing any of that, and I think the color of their skin has something to do with that. Or you don't get noticed, you don't get thought of as a possibility of being great to some people. You get missed, and I think them and Doom is another example. They did it in spite of all that. So I think there's something to be said for it. But then on the range of it in itself, just if you look at it as wrestling as a purest thing, they're one of the best. They're one of the best, like you said.
And I think that Harlem Heat like beats that too, because like they were saddled in the beginning as Harlem Heat.
Right. It's
very stereotypical. And then what you said in the beginning, how they were trying to be introduced as, it's like they still overcame that. Doom was just guys in a mask, and they happened to be that color. And then like when they took the mask off, they were still that color, obviously. And like they because they were fucking awesome. Like, and it's just like, it's so funny. Stevie Ray and Booker T, the size of them and their talent, they're just awesome. And like, it's so crazy that they had to go through that bullshit in the beginning. It's like, what if we introduce you as prisoners, or just introduce them as a great fucking tag team because they're great athletes, great human beings? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, it's insane.
I mean, in a comparison, I think about the Hurt Syndicate today and how they're being. It's just great tag workers.
They're fucking awesome.
Pummel you,
like,
and
that's
they're
it.
awesome, and they can do
awesome.
anything, and they get strapped the gold on them within a matter of weeks. There's progression there, but it's just it makes me mad when I hear about some of the things that were documented in this thing about what they were thinking about doing with them. It makes me really angry. That's where I'm like, so that's where you draw the line. I get really mad about it because I know it's a different time, but it doesn't excuse it. And I'm just glad that we got to see them perform at the highest level, because they were certainly better than almost every tag team out there. Like the Steiners, you can argue, a little better. That were actually in WCW with them at the time. There's not too many tag teams that were cohesive, stayed together that long, that successful, that entertaining, got that kind of pop than Harlem Heat. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah.
And the Steiners were kind of winding down. They were already kind of hurt.
By far the biggest. They were winding down.
Yeah. So it's just I don't know. I think they need their flowers more often than not. Booker too. I mean, man, Booker's one of the best. Again, don't want to see him in the Royal Rumble next year or this year, like we talked about. But he's definitely a little long in the tooth for that. But yeah, Booker was one of my favorite performers. When they came over on the well, not the merger, but just the death of WCW. One of my favorite performers in the ring, and never had a problem watching him. I always remember Booker. It was on his run to the title run, I think, where Triple H beat him where he should have beaten him, but he literally just did his he did a flip leg drop off of the top turn on Big Show and beat him like in 30 seconds for the build up. It was something crazy.
It's called the Harlem Hangover.
Yeah, he did the Harlem Hangover on him like in 30 seconds and just pinned him. Just Big Show's like, all right, I guess I'm done here. I just remember those kind of runs with Booker, and but God, when he didn't win at that WrestleMania, I was so fucking mad. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? It was the dumbest thing ever. But
they're just talented. Like, yeah, they're talented. We'll talk about like the legacy of Booker. Obviously, that's a other episode altogether.
Yeah,
but like Harlem Heat was awesome, man. I love them.
They're special, man.
We all did. Just and their music and like everything. It was a complete package.
Yeah.
Underrated tag team even now, even listening to even back then that PWI top 100 tag team of all time, and maybe they were it was a little young into their tenure, but still like they were undeniable no matter what. Like the business tried to throw at them that we talked earlier, like you just they had a harder road than most, but like the fact they undeniable, underrated. They worked with everybody. They could big meaty men slapping meat, or they could do technical stuff. I mean, it was always kind of like Booker was the better technical wrestler, but they both
They
could
were
go in
snug. They were
all their
technical.
styles.
They can high fly. They can do all of it.
Their bodies, they
yeah.
were good on the mic. They created one of the funniest memes of all time in the Stevie Ray's face.
Right.
And,
It was Sherry. She's like, "What happened, baby? What happened?" Yeah.
It's I love that it's still out there and led to Booker's success too.
Yep. Love it.
And they're both still around, podcast and around and respected.
Yep.
Like,
My brother told me, I'm going to help you get that job, but the only thing I ask of you is to do that job and do that job to the best of your ability. No matter was it sweeping floors, washing windows, whatever it is, you do it to the best of your ability because you represent me. And I said, I can do that. And until this day, I've been doing that job to the best of my ability.
For audio fans, give us a listen to Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Higher Radio. Or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. And check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast. And on social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. For Jess, Craig, and Dave, this is the O.W.P signing off. Dun, 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 dun. Have a good one.